Welcome, Marvel fans and fanettes, to the second in the series of Marvel Avengers skins throughout the Marvel games. I'm Napalm Dawn, and today we're going to take a look at Thor. So Thor was the first character that I wanted to do for the skin series, but at the time that I recorded the first video, the new Iron Man skin had just dropped in Marvel's Avengers, so I thought it was a little bit more timely and on point to do Iron Man first since the skin had just dropped. But the reason why I wanted to do this series is actually because of a Thor skin in Marvel's Avengers. So let's take a look at Thor throughout the Marvel games that we've played for years, and I'm going to tell you what I think is the best Marvel Thor skin in any of these games. So we're going to start with OG Marvel's Avengers Alliance, or Marvel Avengers Alliance over here. So we had classic Thor, we had modern armor Thor, Avengers Thor in Blaster and Bruiser. We then proceeded on to my favorite of the Thor skins in Marvel Avengers Alliance, which is Mighty Thor. It was my favorite look, and it was also my favorite passive out of all of them. Plus, having the Scrapper setup was really, really solid with him, because him attacking builds up his charges and everything, and when you're a Scrapper, especially at 15, and you can activate the follow-up attack at will, it made for a very strong Thor. He had some good passives we're going to take a look at in just a moment, too. And then we go on to the Age of Ultron Thor. And then finally back around to Classic Thor. So I thought Classic Thor in appearance was probably the second best in the game. I was not really that big of a fan of Modern Armor, and I hated the Avengers and the Ultron ones with quite a big passion, and Mighty Thor was definitely my favorite in this. Now, this game also gave us Destroyer, and it also gave us Beta Ray Bill and Jane Foster as J-Thor, and that's worth mentioning because we will see a little bit more of them in a moment. Taking a look at the wiki for Marvel Avengers Alliance, we can see here was Classic and then Modern Armor, which gave him 2 stacks of Mjolnir. 2 stacks of Might of Mjolnir would give him increased damage and accuracy on the next hammer throw or summon thunder, which is pretty cool because you could use it either for a heavy single target or solid AoE. You had Avengers, which gave you Avengers Assemble. It was kind of weak. Mighty, which is my definite favorite because of the fact that you had God of Thunder, which said Might of Mjolnir can stack up to 3 times, and you gave Storm Herald to the party, which is a chance for follow-up Lightning Strike when attacking or being attacked by single target attacks. Really good with other electric-type Pokemon in this game, like Storm, and then later on Electro. And Electro and Thor and an agent weapon was part of, or actually Electro and Beta Ray Bill and a specific agent weapon was known for one of the game-breaking PvP bugs that we had in Marvel Avengers Alliance history, so bad that they actually had to fix it mid-season because it would cause the defensive team to win every time. And then we see what Storm Herald is. And then finally we had Age of Ultron, which I almost said Voltron there for a second. Age of Ultron, which gave us, fortunately, I Am Mighty, which starts the fight with Mighty Shroud, preventing debuffs on allies for the first round of combat. Good for a poor man's Mystic, but overall it made Thor weak. He was there for a Mystic level effect, but he really wasn't there for himself, and that was kind of sad. To me, in my mind, Mighty was one of the best looking ones, and certainly the best passives. You could see, while his stamina was not great, very high attack and accuracy, which is almost kind of commonplace for a blaster or scrapper, and then average defense and evasion. Over in Marvel Heroes, we had costumes like Golden Armor, which gave him the ginger beard and kind of a plain front, but a decent helmet and cape. We had the modern costume, which, if we compare it to this, There is the Marvel Avengers Alliance Modern. There is the Marvel Heroes one. There is definitely a difference between them over here. You have different wings to the helmet, different chest area for the armor and everything. They're not quite the same. You have Marvel Now, which looks a little bit too stripped, a little bit too bare. There's really not much going on there, but he does look relatively intimidating. The legs are pretty solid on that one. Classic, which is what older people like me definitely remember from like the Thor cartoons when we were younger, almost even really before my time, like early Iron Man, early Thor. Just wasn't quite into Marvel as much at this age, so I vaguely remember it, but not exactly. Here we have Destroyer costume with kind of what looks like Doctor Strange's cape on here. Again, remember this one and Thor Golden Armor up there. And then we have the Avengers movie. Beta Ray Bill, or Thor Horse, as I used to like to call him. Beta Ray Bill is obviously a separate character, but Marvel Heroes did that a lot. They took variants of the characters and actually just made them a costume. Old Thor, which kind of looks like Odin as Thor. Ultimate, which I thought was really one of the best ones in Marvel Heroes for Thor. This I would rank as a very high costume in terms of appearance because it is so different, yet it's sort of very stripped down. It kind of gives you the idea of like a Mad Max version of Thor, that he was like ousted from Asgard and just kind of surviving on his own and everything. We have Thor Earth X, which isn't necessarily Jane Thor or J Thor. It is a little bit different. You have Age of Ultron. You have, here is J Thor, which is actually a costume for Thor rather than being a separate character. And then finally, you have a armored variant of Age of Ultron, which gave him the arm scale armor over there. A Skrull imposter Thor, which kind of looks like Hulk Thor. I wouldn't think Skrull at first. I would think this is a weird Hulk Thor baby. And then finishing up with Ragnarok Gladiator, which is so out of place on the wiki and almost looks like it just never made it to the game. They do say it is unreleased. So I would say Mighty Thor definitely wins so far. It is my favorite from Marvel Avengers Alliance. I think I like it better than all of the ones in Marvel Heroes, although Ultimate was pretty good. I would probably run around as Ultimate in Marvel Heroes if I had Thor and it was still playable. Here in Marvel Future Fight, we have the original. We have Age of Ultron, where I think the thumbnail is really good for him, but then it's just kind of your standard Age of Ultron Thor and Avengers Thor. I mean, all the MCU Thors look fairly close to this in the beginning. Unworthy was my favorite in appearance for this game for a while, until what I consider to be the absolute best, and we'll get to that. But Unworthy, I really, really liked. As you can see, I have him up as an advanced level in my skins. Ragnarok was very good for a while. I liked the appearance, and it was also a very good skin within the game, which is why it's up at Mythic for me. And then we start getting into the super modern ones of Infinity War. And he's actually using Stormbreaker. So Marvel Future Fight managed to change him from Mjolnir to Stormbreaker. And even this axe over here, something Crystal Dynamics apparently cannot do for Marvel's Avengers. But I will cut them some slack. Like, how Thor wields Mjolnir in Marvel's Avengers isn't conducive to running a two-handed axe in there. It's just really, really tough to do. We have the team suit, which is Thor in the team suit. But this is what's odd about this. Thor at this particular time was fat. You have the Endgame suit over here, and this is his actual battle armor. And a lot of people, when this came out, praised the fact that it gave him both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, and the fact that it kept the same size as he was in the movie. rather than pretend it didn't exist and sort of exhibit a bit of fat phobia. So they did keep his paunchy self over here, yet in the team suit, which came from that movie, and he was big at this time, they do not have it. And they have the sort of Ragnarok hair. So that's kind of interesting that they chose to do this. And then my favorite in Future Fight, and actually now my favorite so far in the video, is Herald of Thunder. Love this uniform. It is probably the best that we've encountered so far in the video. It does the Marvel Future Fight Galaxy thing on his body, like they do with Singularity and Gamora's cloak. Really, really good skin, and not only does it look good, it is Thor's most powerful skin in the game currently, and actually makes Thor relatively meta. He's always flirted with being mid to high tier meta as a universal character in this game, but this uniform really does it. The spikes are particularly vicious looking. Mjolnir looks a little basic and standard over there, but I think this one is definitely a really, really solid skin, and so far my favorite of all the Thor skins we've looked at so far. Here in Marvel Avengers Alliance, which is apparently going to kick me out because I've been a little bit idle too long, so we'll just jump back into it over there. We do have a few variants on Thor in Marvel's Avengers. We have what I consider some really, really fun ones here. The plainclothes ones were actually some of my favorites until the MCU ones popped around. I preferred to use them because they were so different. However, I did pick up King Thor, and that was my main Thor until the Endgame one came around. So this skin was a bit controversial because of the fact that the plates on his armor, on his chest over there, kind of absorb the electricity. They light up because a light source is near it, but they never emit or emanate his lightning and his blue light whenever he's charged up the way the other skins do. So people saw that as, again, a little bit shoddy workmanship on Marvel's Avengers. Just their work table over there. First of all, I hate Mjolnir in this game because of the cutout on the top of the hammer, which makes it look very manufactured. It looks like that plate is what is holding the hammer shaft into place over there, and it looks like you could literally disassemble Mjolnir by fucking around with that plate. I actually really hate that thing. I don't even think that it's runic or anything over there, and I'm interpreting it as a plate, but it just looks like a screw plate for the shaft, and I think it's stupid. I wish they didn't do that. Everybody was upset we didn't get Stormbreaker, but I knew we were not going to get Stormbreaker on this one. It made sense. The way this game handles him using that hammer one-handed with the loop and everything, Stormbreaker was never going to fit. They were going to have to design Thor from the ground up and make alternative movesets, and we all knew Crystal Dynamics was not going to do that. We have his, what I like to call the leisure suit look. That top looks a lot like velour or velveteen. A decent look, again, something a little bit different. Still hate the hammer. Not a bad skin. Still preferring the MCU skin over the others. We have King Thor, which we've looked at. Stark Tech, which is from the story, doesn't really look good on him. Asgard's Might is not too bad. It does look like some of the ones we've seen. The Cobalt plates are good. I like a lot of the plainclothes ones. And out of all the skins that I have until King Thor in the MCU, I ran around as plainclothes Thor. The Metalhead one was definitely a favorite. Kind of makes sense for him. Ingot isn't too bad. The all black is pretty good. And then you have some kind of classic looking ones like Iconic. It gets there. It tries really hard. Warcry also tries really hard too. And then down here in some of the locked ones, we have Scion, which looks like trash. This Asgardian one looks similar to the ones we've seen, but they look like snap buttons on his armor. Sovereign Sun, again, snap armor style. Royal Azarian. Not really a fan of most of these, and we're going to get to the one that made me want to do the series. Crash Test is extremely bright. It's part of a set. Eternity is okay. Here's another super bright one in Monatomic. Just basically looks like punk night, like cyberpunk set in 1980s, super neon Tokyo, just wrapped itself around Thor. The Norwegian cabin one was really good. Sort of makes him look like a logger or a lumberjack. I really like this one. This is actually one I would have considered getting, where it's a plainclothes one, but still a little something to it. Cosmic Glow is ridiculous. Neon Razor is ridiculous. Here is the actual hardware store lumberjack one. You can kind of picture him sitting in the forests of Washington State or Oregon with a cup of coffee and that outfit. Actually good. Again, one that I would consider spending credits on compared to the rest of this tripe for Thor. And here's Dawnstar. Not bad. A little bit like King Thor. Frostwalker. Decent. Hard hat. So these are all ones you unlock through the card. I'm going to see if I can find the one that made me want to do this series. I'm not actually seeing it listed unless I'm missing it. There was a battle damaged skin that came out for Thor. It might be in the marketplace and not listed here. I'm going to have to check that really quick as loud cars go by. Let's see if it is still in the store. So legendary, yeah, none of those. So you can see a couple on display over here. The snap style, not that crazy about. Unworthy's pretty solid. That's the Red Room one. Not bad. Aerospace is not bad either. They might have gotten... Yeah, I'm not seeing it. So there was like a battle damaged one or a tarnished one. I forget exactly the name of it. But the community basically said it looked like Thor had rolled around in shit. It was supposed to be kind of like a rusted bronze look, and it was, without a doubt, just terrible. And it really got memed on pretty hard, and it was why I actually wanted to do the series, was to talk about that skin and how it is literally the worst skin ever. So if I had to pick a favorite here in Marvel's Avengers, I would pick the Endgame one. If I had to pick a non-MCU one, Unworthy definitely comes pretty close. And then actually it's the plainclothes ones, and that's really, really sad to say that, you know, a plainclothes one was better than some of the others. So, moving on from Marvel's Avengers, we are going to the game where I think the best Thor skin to date, and I gotta watch saying that because that sounds like something else, but my favorite uniform for Thor is actually in Marvel Super War. This game, I'm telling you, kind of knocks it out of the park when it comes to skins for characters. More than a AAA game like Marvel's Avengers. Now, there's less of them, but I think the quality of them is quite phenomenal. And it is a shame that this game has yet to go global, because I think a lot of people are missing out on some incredible skins. It's a MOBA. You need to be a MOBA fan to probably enjoy this game. But here is their standard Thor. A Thor we've seen a bunch. Kind of a standard helmet, although it is approaching his movie uniforms here, but pretty good again. The Asgardian runic worthy logo here, not a dented steel plate that looks like it's keeping the shaft attached. So we have Avengers Infinity War with the Bifrost entrance. I mean, totally Thor arrives in Wakanda. It's a really great intro over there. You have Stormbreaker, solid skin, although I think the face is a little bit off. Now we're going to get into the good stuff. And we have the Frost Giant skin for Thor, which is amazing. It's amazing to see him portrayed this way. I don't like the hammer. I think the hammer is actually like really low quality in this. It looks very much like the Squid People's stuff from World of Warcraft. The Draenei. The Draenei tend to have a lot of crystal related things in World of Warcraft, but usually a purpley pink rather than this icy blue. The design of this hammer really reminds me of Draenei stuff from World of Warcraft. But the cloak is great. The skin is phenomenal. I would definitely use the skin if I had it because, again, it stands out. It's just something very different. And now, the level best Thor skin, Thor uniform I've ever seen. It actually has its own unique intro. I'm just gonna let this play out because this is goddamn Hellsworn Thor. Truly the best Thor uniform I've seen in any Marvel game. The ultimate one in Marvel Future Fight, I think, is the second best that I've covered in this video. I really like it. It also brings a good power level within that particular game. But this skin is truly beyond comparison. You have a very fire and lava oriented hammer that looks straight up like Ragnaros's hammer from World of Warcraft. A lot of the flame related hammers of big fire related bosses and everything in World of Warcraft are similar to this. The cloak with the charred edges and the smoke coming off of it, the embers, an almost molten crow feather top, kind of a standard helmet, but the rest of the armor is great. The fire coming out of the eyes rather than electricity or lightning. It looks like he was wearing one of his armors and it was burnt into his chest, and the plates have permanently burned itself onto his chest over here. This game calls it the evil version of Thor from the opposite realm, where superheroes are villains. The powers of lava and lightning flow through him as he swears allegiance to Hell. That's Hel. Includes Thor exclusive opposite realm voice audio, exclusive lobby display, and recall, and an exclusive recall effect. I mean, if all of the Thor uniforms were in one game and this was part of it, this is what I would go to every single time. And then the sort of galactic looking Thor from Marvel Future Fight would be a second choice. But this is just ridiculous how badass this particular skin is. And I think this one, heads and tails above the rest of them, is the best looking Thor skin in all of the Marvel games, where you have some choices. There's one in Marvel Strike Force and the base one. There's a few in Contest of Champions. Realm of Champions actually has a lot of Thor skins that we've seen parts of as we've done the video. The one that I pointed out had the ginger beard and the Destroyer Thor. That is all in Realm of Champions, but it's mix and match. You could have like a Destroyer helmet and sort of like an Odin looking chest plate and Destroyer looking boots. So it's mix and match. And then Future Revolution, I don't know that much about the skins in that one because I only have the one character, and it's Doctor Strange. but the variety is pretty good. But I will put that particular Thor as first place. I will go with Herald of Thunder in second, and then Mighty over in Marvel Avengers Alliance as my third. And then, Avengers Marvel's Avengers does get there. They try too hard, and they kind of steer too far away from their original sources because they're trying to be different. This is obviously trying to be different, but it really succeeds, and it totally unique. So let me know which one of the skins that we covered in this video you think is the best. Do you agree with me that it is Hell Thor over here? And what about Thor in other games that I didn't really cover? Is there a really good skin in a Marvel game that you play for Thor that I didn't really cover over here? So let me know what you think. Thanks a lot for checking out the video, everybody. As for the next character in the skin series, I'm not too sure who it's going to be yet, as Iron Man and Thor were kind of really my top two. But we will definitely go through Hulk, Hawkeye, and Black Widow in the near future over there. We're not really going to count on Kate or Kamala Khan as much, as we're really going to go with kind of the classic Avengers over there. So, take care, everybody, and I will talk to you guys soon.